Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to today's video, and today I'm going to talk about my top 5 ways or top 5 things you can do to train harder every week in the gym. So a common thing I'm always talking about is that in order to keep building muscle in the gym, you need to keep training harder and progressively overloading every single week. Obviously, if you don't progressively overload one week, it's not going to be the end of the world, but there's just like a general principle that over time you need to continue to provide more of a stimulus and overload to your body in order for muscles to grow. Reason being for that is your muscle is not going to have a reason to adapt or grow if there's no longer a further stimulus for it to adapt to. When you are working harder each week, you're creating more of a stimulus. To make up for that stimulus, your muscle has no choice but to grow in order to adapt to that new stimulus. But if that stimulus is not there, it does not have a reason to grow, get bigger, get stronger. So we need that stimulus. We need to train harder every week. So lots of us, we just are unfamiliar with how we should train harder every week. So I'm going to talk about the top 5 things you can do today that will help you train harder. So the number one thing you can do to train harder right off the bat, and just to keep in mind, all the other things I'm going to say today are not going to be useful unless you can take this first one seriously. So the number one thing that you can do to train harder, just train to failure. Take some sets to failure. I think it's absolutely essential that you take some sets to failure. Not all sets. You don't need to take all of your sets to failure, but at least 5 to 10 sets per workout should be taken to failure if you are kind of work into that. If you're taking no sets of failure currently, maybe do 1 or 2 sets. Then next week do 2 or 3, the week after do 3 or 4. So work up to where you're taking those last sets of each exercises to failure. That there is going to be providing a very big stimulus on its own for your muscles, and it's going to be working them until they no longer can be worked anymore, hence the name failure. So what is failure? Failure is not when you're just all of a sudden throwing the weight around, flailing your body around, going to injure yourself. Failure is just when your form starts to give out. Now it's very hard because lots of us don't have a very high pain tolerance, and obviously if you're training to failure, it starts to burn, it starts to hurt, but that's one of those things where you have to push through, and lots of us, when we first feel that pain or that burn, that's when we stop. But in order to train harder and train to failure or form failure, you need to learn how to push through that burn and train until your form can no longer be solid. I always say, go until your form no longer can complete a rep without giving out. So for a bicep curl, if I'm doing a bicep curl, curling the weight, form's looking good, full range of motion. As soon as I hit that point where it's like I can't get a rep with full range of motion, or I'll have to either do a force rep or a swing rep or something like that, that's when I know I've hit form failure. So failure is a huge one. Like I said, don't go from no sets to failure to all of your sets to failure, but you definitely need to start working more sets to failure into your routine. The next way you can train harder every week is, or keep training harder every week, is doing partial repetitions. So we just talked about training to failure. So what happens if you want to go even harder? Say you take all your last sets to failure. Like for me, pretty much every one of my last sets of each exercise is taken to failure. So if I do that, how am I able to train harder next week? Well, there's a few things I could do, and this next one I talk about is partial reps. So once you hit failure, you can no longer obviously complete a rep with full range of motion, good form, but you can probably do some of the rep with good form. So the theory with a partial rep is you're just continuing to squeeze and activate that muscle, break down muscle fiber, recruit a bunch of blood to that muscle, and just force it to keep going. No, it might not be getting as much of a range of motion, but it's still definitely getting work with that partial range of motion, and it's allowing me to keep going even when I've hit failure, if that makes sense. So partial reps, in order for them to be properly trained and benefit from them, you need to train to failure in the first place. It's not like you can just pick up a weight without going to failure and then also just do partial reps and get the full benefit from them. Partial reps are strategically used when you hit failure and you want to still get a little bit more out of that muscle. There's another one of those little things that you fight for every little rep, and that's a big thing to realize here is when you're making that jump from intermediate to advanced or beginner to intermediate, it comes down to every little rep really starts to matter, and if you're taking a few reps off here and there, that's potentially going to be a big reduction in your muscle stimulus. So partial reps are a great way to push past failure, keep going, and be safe as well. So that's a big thing. Keep that form as tight as you can. Even though the range of motion is diminished on partial reps, still keep the form very tight. So the third way you can train harder each week, again, provided you are taking that set to failure in the first place, that set is not being taken to failure, this is not going to benefit you either way. So assisted reps. So assisted reps, kind of the same theory of partial reps, you're just forcing out extra repetitions after you've hit failure. So assist These work best typically when you have a training partner and they can actually help you assist the weight. So if I'm doing a bench press and I'm going to failure, doing as many as I can, but I want to push past failure, train even harder, I'll have my spotter or my partner help raise the bar back up, and I'll control the bar the way down on that eccentric portion. And when I get down, I'm not strong enough because I've already hit failure to get it back up. So that's when the partner grabs the bar and I'll pull it back up. So assisted reps is essentially just reps when you can no longer complete on your own because you've hit failure. And these are the reps where you just focus on that kind of eccentric portion of the rep mainly. Where when the partner helps you lift that weight back up, yes, you're still getting contraction, but more so majority of the work is being done on the eccentric portion. And you can take a lot more weight and load a lot more weight when you're just focusing on the eccentric part of the movement. So you can still go for pretty far, push past failure, get those forced reps. Pretty much anytime I'm training with a partner, I'm always making sure to get some forced reps in there. Number one, just because it forces me to go to failure no matter what on those hard sets. And I can also just guarantee that it'll be safe because I have a partner to kind of help me through the movement too. So it's a really good option to help you train past failure, push a little bit harder. And again, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna burn, but that's just part of the process when you're working on training harder, growing your muscles, getting stronger. You're gonna have to build up a pain tolerance to push through this stuff sometimes. So the fourth way you can train harder each week, provided you're training to failure. See that theme here? You have to train to failure on these hard sets in the first place. But this is my favorite way to train harder, and that is a drop set. Now, lots of us are familiar with what a drop set is, and we've seen them being done, but do we actually understand them? So I just want to explain them right here. So the theory behind a drop set is, obviously it allows you to push past failure, but say you're working with a weight where you can only get 10 reps with, it's once you hit failure, you hit that 10 reps, drop the weight a little bit, you can continue to push through that set and get another 5, even maybe 10 reps on that one set. So you're taking a set where you could go maybe 10 reps to failure and prolonging it to maybe 20 reps to failure. Yes, that weight is being reduced, but it is still allowing you to keep going, keep pushing, keep pumping that blood flow muscle, creating new stimulus, training past failure. So what a drop set would look like, say I'm doing what would I do drop set on? We're doing a drop set on a chest press machine. Ideally, you're gonna do drop sets on machines where you're pretty safe, you're kind of locked in position. I wouldn't do a drop set on like a barbell squat or a barbell bench press. Just not the safest thing in the world. So ideally, you're gonna save a drop set for like a machine or some sort of a lighter dumbbell kind of work. We'll just say the chest press for example. I'm benching on the chest press. I have 2 plates loaded on each side, going. All of a sudden I hit failure. I might strip 1 plate on each side and then drop it down to just 1 plate on each side. Keep going until I hit failure again. So I might get 15-20 reps total on that whole entire drop set. Where to do drop set properly, it needs to be really quick. You can't just do your set to failure, drop the weight, wait 2 minutes, and then do it again. No, the point of a drop set is to hit failure and then immediately, like right after, strip the weight, keep going until you can't go anymore. So that is a really great way to train past failure. And even if you're really advanced, I don't even do these myself. You can do like triple drop sets, quadruple drop sets where you just keep dropping that weight. Lots of times guys just like to just work down the stack until there's like no weight left, where that's a really good job. It's really cool way to push past failure. But lots of us, we just don't need that initially because, just 1 drop set per workout is already very taxing for natural lifters like us. So it's not like you have to do them every single set, every single movement, if that makes sense. So if you're starting out, you don't need to do drop sets every set. You're not even training a failure every set. So just take one of your failure sets in each of your workouts if you want to use a drop set and put that drop set on that set. Just like with the partial and assisted reps, I would maybe do, these are all called high intensity sets. I'd maybe do 1 to 2 high intensity sets per workout. If you're a beginner, just do 1 high intensity set per your lift. So say you're doing a chest press and you want to do a high intensity set there, you can pick between a drop set, partial reps, assisted reps. Pick some of those and choose one of them. You don't need to do all of these at once. If you do all these at once, you're going to kill yourself and you're going to be overtraining where you're not going to be able to recover fast enough for your next time you train then. So not optimal. So drop set, just pick one of those failure sets and choose to do it there, or use the assisted reps or the partial reps. That's the last and final tip I have for you to train harder, push harder each and every week to progressively overload is my second favorite, and that's cluster sets. So obviously, if you haven't picked on, I watch a lot of John Meadows. John Meadows is a big proponent or big advocate of cluster sets. So a cluster set, similar to a drop set, it's a set that you would use when you take the provided you're taking that initial set to failure to push farther and get more reps with a certain amount of weight. It's kind of managing volume, if that makes sense, but it's also very highly intense. So let's do, for an example, we're doing a leg press here. And say we have 3 plates loaded on each side of that leg press. And say for that leg press, you can only get 8 reps total with that weight. But let's say you can only get 10 reps total with that weight with 3 plates on each side. But if we stop shy and leave 2 reps in the tank and say we get 8 reps, 8 clean, perfect reps, wait 20 seconds. Okay, 20 seconds has passed. Go immediately into another set with that same weight and do, let's say we get 6 reps. Okay, keep going. Now we're at 14 reps. Wait 20 seconds again. Okay, keep going. One last set where you go all out. Say you squeeze out another 3 to 4. That's potentially 18 total reps with a weight where you can only get 10 reps. If that makes sense. So you're still training the failure. You're pushing really, really hard, pushing past failure. But if you see the point here, you're getting 8 extra reps. And like I said earlier, once you're going to that more intermediate advanced stage, every rep starts to matter. You need to fight for every rep. Otherwise, if you leave reps on the table, you can potentially be leaving gains on the table too. So this is a great way to push past failure, keep going, but also use it in really kind of a smarter volume-wise way too. These are honestly very fun to do. I love doing cluster sets. Drop sets are still my favorite, but cluster sets are a great option as well. But yeah, so that's gonna wrap up this part of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed learning about these ways to train past failure, train harder. And again, all of these sets I just mentioned, maybe just do one. If you haven't done any before, just start out by training failure. Yeah, don't even do this if you haven't trained failure yet. But if you're just kind of training normally, try training to failure. Take some sets to failure and then work your way gradually until you're taking all of your last sets to failure. Once you're at the point where all of your last sets are being taken to failure, pick one of these things to do, just one. And then do that for a few weeks, hell, even a few months. Once you feel really good there, you're adjusting, throw in one more, do 2. I mean, guys, you see lots of these guys who are enhanced on a lot of drugs, and they can recover a lot faster because the protein synthesis is just kind of wrapped up 24/7 essentially. So they can recover a lot faster, rebuild a lot faster. We're natural guys like me, we can still do these. We need to train just as hard, if not harder, than those enhanced guys. But we just have to be a little bit smarter with our recovery. So that's why you don't see me doing like 5 of these per workout. I typically just do 2 per workout, just 2. I take all my last sets to failure, and then 2 of those last sets I'll pick to do either a drop set, cluster set, partial reps, assisted reps, whatever it may be, if that makes sense. So yeah, hope that's it. I'm gonna wrap the video up here. That's all I gotta say. So like always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.